Seeking to heal political and sectarian rifts, Iraq's Prime Minister wins approval for a more inclusive unity government, easing domestic and international pressure. But can the power-sharing politicians work together to unite a fractured nation? This is Inside Story. Hello, welcome to the programme. In Doha, I'm Adrian Finighan. The US is hailing the creation of a new unity government in Iraq as a major milestone. Incoming Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi has been under pressure to address deep rifts among politicians and within Iraqi society. And while the new cabinet sees posts shared between Shia, Sunni and Kurdish politicians, there is still a significant Shia majority within that cabinet. And the defence and interior ministerial positions have yet to be filled. The US had made the approval of a unity government a condition for increasing its military assistance to tackle the Islamic State group, which has seized large parts of the country. We'll get into our discussion in just a moment, but first, Jane Araf has our report from Baghdad.
Iraq is in danger of breaking apart. His new government is supposed to help bring it together. With Abadi's reluctant introduction of his cabinet, this wasn't a great start.
I will go ahead and list the names, but I have to say I respect all of them and I'm committed to working with them as partners, but I did not choose all of these names. Despite the fact that the designated prime minister has the right to choose his own cabinet, some of the political blocs did not give me that option.
For 8 years, Iraq's fate has been dominated by one man, former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. This cabinet has far more political heavyweights, including 3 former prime ministers. Al-Abadi reached out to ordinary Iraqis.
We stand before the will of our people, aspiring to achieve their supreme goals, whereby all Iraqis who live in love and unity under the roof of one homeland, enjoying the richest of the lands in every corner of the country.
And he pledged to continue the fight against the Islamic State group. But a government that was intended to reach out to the Kurds and the Sunnis left at least one of those factions unimpressed. It wasn't clear the Kurds would show up, and when they did, they had a list of demands still to be negotiated, including oil revenue and resolving disputed territories.
Despite our disagreements, the Kurdish coalition decided to participate in the government on a 3-month trial basis, pending its decisions regarding the demands of the Kurdistan region.
In their rush to form a government by the deadline, there were 3 posts left unfilled, 2 of them the crucial positions of Interior and Defense Minister. Abadi said they would agree on those in the next week. After finally agreeing to step down as Prime Minister, Maliki becomes one of 3 vice presidents. There was an awful lot of pressure to put together this government on time. And there was some doubt that Haider Abadi could actually do it. But now that he has put it together, the challenge is to convince Iraqis and his own political supporters that this is a government that can actually be effective. Jane Araf, Al Jazeera, Baghdad.
All right, to our guest now for this edition of Inside Story. We're joined today from Istanbul by the former Iraqi Vice President Tariq al Hashimi, from London by Ahmed Rushdi, Director of the House of Iraqi Expertise Foundation, and also in London we have Ghassan Al Attiyah, Founder and Director of the Iraq Foundation for Development and Democracy in London. Gentlemen, welcome to you all. Tariq al Hashimi, a day after the last US forces withdrew from Iraq, a warrant was issued for your arrest on terrorism charges that you deny. You were sentenced to death by the previous government. What are your thoughts today? Do you see yourself as a victim of the sectarianism that this new, more inclusive government is going to try to address?
Well, I hope so, in fact. Although yesterday I really disappointed with the political platform that has been tabled by the new Prime Minister, in fact. This platform left highly sensitive and quite dangerous issues without clear-cut addressing, including the political motivated cases, including my case, definitely, but my case is just one case of 7 Sunni politicians has been politically targeted. Yesterday, I didn't hear any sort of indications to solutions to these cases, which has been pending since 8 years during the despotic regime of Nouri al-Maliki. So I am really not optimistic enough. I was expecting some sort of positive gestures from the new prime ministers, but he denied any sort of that.
What of former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, now of course a vice president? Will he still have any political influence in Iraq under this new system, this new government?
Well, definitely. In fact, not in the capacity of vice president, but in the capacity of the leader of Da'wah party, which is still dominating the Shia alliance. So I'm expecting that Nouri al-Maliki is going to continue his illegitimate interference and influence on the new cabinet decision-making. In addition to that, you are fully aware that even over the past few days, Nouri al-Maliki made several changes in government key positions. He kicked out certain staff which they are not coming under the control of Da'wah party, and changed them with those who prove to be loyal to him. So the mission of the new prime minister will be difficult unless he exercise his role in courageous way, and try to exercise that he is the prime minister for change. This subject is yet to be seen.
Okay. Just before we bring in our other guests, I just want to ask you about your plans. You talked about the Prime Minister's lack of addressing previous injustices or making not even a nod to it. Will you look at some point to return to Iraq and to a frontline role in Iraqi politics?
Well, I'm ready. I said that many times, in fact. I'm ready, but the problem is when the new government is offering to me a fair trial, I am not expecting, I am not seeking any sort of amnesty. I'm not guilty. I'm not committed with any sort of crimes. So I'm not deserving and I'm not looking for an amnesty. All what I'm looking for is a fair trial. If the new government is failed to offer me these opportunities, it will be the responsibilities of the international communities to shoulder responsibility and try to offer me these opportunities, not only for Tariq al Hashimi. I think we do have tens of thousands of people behind bars. They are expecting, in fact, an impartial judicial system, which unfortunately during the era of Nouri al-Maliki, losing integrity, losing independence, and coming under the control of the executive body of my country. So all what we are looking for is a fair trial, simple as that.
Ahmed Rushdi in London. Iraq is in a state of deep national crisis. The military isn't functioning as it should. The country still in danger of fragmenting along sectarian lines. Is this the government to put Iraq back on track?
Well, it depends. It depends if this government responds to the demands of the Sunnis, the demands of the Kurds, even the demands of the Shiite, because 8 years of brutal procedures against Sunnis and also against the Kurds, at the same time for the Shiite, it makes everyone not trusting anyone that will be prime minister now. So this is the main pressure that Mr. Haider al-Abadi has, trusting, which means that if you're going to accept the demands of the Sunnis, you will get their trust and they will help you to fight ISIS. At the same time, if you're going to respond to the Kurdish demands, you will get the support of Peshmerga against ISIS. At the same time, you have also opponents inside your Hizb Dawah party and the National Alliance, Tahaluf al-Watani, which means that there are so many opponent issues, so there are so many challenges for Haider al-Abadi to put on solutions, but at the same time, it must be connected to trust.
All right, so is the Prime Minister and the wider cabinet up to the task?
Well, let's see, but at the beginning of points, it's not, the Iraqis are not very optimistic, to be sure of that, because they are the same faces. They are supposed to be the head of the blocks. They are inside the cabinet this time, not outside the cabinet. So the flexibility of such cabinet is not, or it will not be as the Iraqis wish, because you need a flexible cabinet can manage with all the problems of Iraq, which is so many problems and challenges, and at the end, it's supposed to be hold up Iraq in one unity, because at the end, if it's failed, there will be splitting.
Ghassan Al Attiyah, this was billed as a government that was going to be more representative. Is it?
Let us put all this into perspective. The positive thing in what happened, that this marks the end of al-Maliki government. Failing to establish this government on time at the last minute, last day, would mean that al-Maliki will remain a caretaker, and that will be a dire situation for everyone. So that is important fact that we should have a new government. Now we'll try to see whether the cup is full or half full. Let us see the half full of this cup. The half full of it, in a way, the Iraqis are aware that their country is in a mess. The one who to blame, not to put all the blame on al-Maliki, though he should shoulder the main responsibility, but the fact that we are dealing with sectarian ethnic entities, these entities in no way, not only in Iraq, in any other country, it is very difficult to reach a compromise among themselves. Because once you speak, I am a Shi'i, I am a Sunni, I am a Kurd, this means you are looking at Iraq from one side rather than seeing Iraq as a whole. What is missing in Iraq is, as a matter of fact, is an Arab approach. Now they talk about an entity, Kurdish entity, Sunni entity, Shia, but nobody mentions an Arab entity. As a matter of fact, once this entity, Arab entity, regain itself, rediscover itself, then we will see that a new approach will be to the Iraqi problem. Then the southern with the Maslawi, with the Anbari will work together for a certain political agenda, not based on ethnicity, the way we are suffered for the last 10 years.
All right,
and
so
those who participated in the...
So I just wonder yes. whether it matters then whether the various different sects within the country have been given enough influence over key ministries, and does it matter that enough posts have been given to the various sects within the country so that the government is representative of all the people and meets the demands, in particular of the Sunnis, but also of the Kurds and the Shia?
If you talk about representation, the last parliament or the present parliament was elected under an unhealthy atmosphere. Actually, it is rigged, it is not representative, and there was a lot of forgeries in it. It is well known. And this is a fact, and that's why this parliament, in a way, especially the Sunni representation, doesn't really reflect the situation in the Sunni areas, especially after the fall of Mosul into ISIS. So in a way, some of those MPs now, the Sunni MPs, they cannot return to their own provinces. So what to say, how can they represent them? So in this sense, this government is basically a transitional one. Was put together with the help of the American in the first place. But then their job should be transitional. One basic objective of this government is to start to build bridges and build confidence between the different factions. We cannot get rid of sectarianism in a day or night or a month or two, but we have to build the bridges. But We are telling me, this is enough? I tell you, no.
Okay.
What is really needed also a regional coalition, a regional understanding which will include Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf states, Jordan. In addition to that, you need the United States and European to play active role.
Okay, Tariq al Hashimi, I see you nodding. In agreement there?
Well, no, definitely I'm full agreement with what my colleague, my friend, Dr. Ghassan Al Attiyah, in fact, he just pinpointed various highly important issues, in fact, and he put a recipe for the complicated situation in my country. And the positive gesture from the new Prime Minister was very important, but unfortunately, in fact, he missed this subject entirely. All what we need at this juncture is to mitigate the tension instead of escalating the tension and the sixth revolt of desperate Sunni people. What we need of, in fact, is a strategy, is an approach of strategy which could tackle the roots of the problem, as not only concentrating and focusing on the phenomena, on the things on the ground. That's not enough. This could be phase one, could be the mission of the new government to mitigate the tension, to send encouraging messages from the Prime Minister to the Sunni communities that at least the new government is understood the reasons why the Arab Sunni communities show anger and revolt against the central government. This message is very important, and in the same time, he should try his best, in fact, to bridge the gap between the central government and these provinces in an endeavor of calling, reaching out the activists of the people on the ground to sit down around table, at least to listen to them. Why they are so angry, why they just raise their arms, what was the reason, how to overcome their anger. And don't forget that the Sunni communities has tabling, and even the politicians, tabling 14 demands which Noor al-Maliki described them that they are legitimate rights of the Sunni community, which has not been addressed. Even one single demand has not been met so far. So what we need, in fact, is a new approach, a new strategy. Start with this transitional role, which could be exercised by the new government. But at the end of the day, what we are in need of, to call for all the Iraqi factions representative to sit around table under the auspices of United Nations to agree about what nature of Iraq we are looking for and entertain everybody, and what sort of ruling, of sharing power and resources which satisfy everybody, and what sort of relationship could be tied up between Iraq and neighboring countries.
All right. Ahmed Rushdi, I just want to pick up on something that Ghassan Al Attiyah was saying. If I interpreted what he was saying correctly here, is this government going to be able to rebuild a sense of Iraqi national consciousness? He was talking about a sense of Arabness here, a sense of unity among all the sects and tribes under one flag. And then will it be able to rebuild an army that's willing to stand up and fight for that flag?
But at the same time, he said a very important issue, it's a transitional government, which means that such a huge issue concerning nationalism, cannot such a government do something like that? Maybe the beginning of something like that, it is possible, but ending the mission, ending the tasks, I think it needs more than 3 years. And my personal fearness is that why Mr. Obama said it's a war for about 3 years of weakening ISIS. He does not say about how to fighting ISIS to the end, to end this problem, which means that he knew very well it's an ideological problem. It's not a political problem, which means that this ideological problem has a hunger that it's supposed to be rising up this ideology. Now, how to fight this ideology? It is simple. Be fair with the people. on this hangar, on these areas, that will support the anti-ISIS ideology. But what we know yesterday is that you don't have a Minister of Interior, Minister of Defense. The Sunnis until now didn't get something which is very important, sharing in the security decision, which is very important issue. At the same time, you don't have until now a real Sunni troops that it will fight ISIS on the Sunni territory.
Okay, I'm sorry to cut you short. We're rapidly running out of time. Ghassan Al Attiyah, John Kerry, the US Secretary of State, is about to travel to the region to drum up Arab support for action against Islamic State in Iraq. Do you think it possible that other Arab nations are going to join this fight? Is that a realistic prospect, do you think? And if you do, which countries are likely to join? What kind of commitment will they make, given the sort of state that Iraq and its democracy are in right now?
The Arab Iraq neighboring states or regional powers play a very important part in the future of Iraq. They used us as a playing ground to settle their differences. Now they are paying the price that by having Iraq shattered the way it is, because of Iran influence, because of other countries' influence. Now the real beneficiary is ISIS. Now they realize that Iraq's stability is to their benefit, whether they are Turk or Iranian or the Saudi. In this sense, today I think the Saudi invited Kerry and invited the Turk for a meeting in Riyadh to discuss how to implement this coalition. Among other things, I count personally on the Arab side to play more active role. The Arab, I have been to the Gulf, I have met people there. They are frustrated and somehow they didn't want to get involved in the Iraqi issue. Now they find that neglecting Iraq will backfire on them, and here we have ISIS, which is not threatening Iraq or Syria. This is the approach, the region approach.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you short again. Tariq al Hashimi, President Barack Obama made it a condition, of course, of more military assistance for Iraq to fight Islamic State, that a unity government be formed. That has now happened. Obama due to announce on Wednesday his plan for dealing with Islamic State. What does he need to say?
Well, it's premature, in fact. Only just limiting your vision on the formation of what you call it unity government, it's not enough. To address the violence and terrorism in my country, in fact, you need a fair analysis and fair diagnosis. Now the moderate of the Arab Sunni facing two major challenges: the Sunni extremism and the Shia extremism as well. It's quite unfortunate that the Western countries only focusing on the Sunni extremism without taking care of the Shia extremism. The Shia extremism represented by almost 15 of the militia supported, loyal to Iran. They are also adopting the same takfir ideology, and they are also killing people like ISIS. So they are equal. So to get rid of the entire terrorism and violence in my country and ensure a better prospect for my country and for my people, you should be fair enough. You shouldn't concentrate on the Sunni.
Gentlemen,
this is not to defend on ISIS or somebody else. We have to go in parallel and not concentrating on using force. Using force is not enough. The problem, what we are facing time being, is quite complicated. And I agree with my brother Ahmed Rushdi when he said, what about ideology? What about vision? You can't kill them, in fact, by airstrikes. You need, in fact, a better strategy, and you need, in fact, at the end of the day, the bottom line of that, you get all Iraqi faction to send a round table to lay down a strategy for the prospect of their country.
Gentlemen, we are out of time. Many thanks indeed for being with us. In Istanbul, Tariq al Hashimi. From London, Ahmed Rushdi, and also in London, Ghassan Al Attiyah. And please let us know your thoughts. You can leave your comments, as always, at facebook.com/AJ Inside Story. We're also on Twitter. Tweet us at AJ Inside Story. In Doha, I'm Adrian Finighan. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again. Bye for now.